Over 60, this one exercise can change your life. For anyone over the age of 60 who genuinely believes that walking represents the pinnacle of physical activity for maintaining bodily health and vitality, a crucial reevaluation is imperative. It is vital to momentarily pause and absorb a transformative message, as the forthcoming insights possess the profound potential to fundamentally alter long-held perceptions concerning personal health, inherent strength, enduring energy levels, and even one's anticipated lifespan. For many years, the prevailing wisdom emphasized walking as the most secure, judicious, and ultimately effective method for sustaining an active lifestyle as individuals navigated the journey of aging. While the intrinsic value of walking undeniably remains, contemporary scientific research and an abundance of real-world evidence have now illuminated a distinct and remarkably simple exercise that demonstrably surpasses walking in its efficacy for individuals over 60. The disconcerting reality is that this singularly powerful movement remains largely undiscovered and consequently unpracticed by the vast majority of seniors. The startling truth unfolds with the revelation that this particular physical action holds the capacity to systematically rebuild and fortify muscle mass, provide robust protection for delicate joints, significantly enhance overall balance, strengthen the cardiovascular system, sharpen cognitive functions, and profoundly diminish the inherent risks associated with debilitating falls, eventual disability, and even premature mortality. Crucially, the beauty of this exercise lies in its complete accessibility, requiring no membership to a specialized gym facility, no investment in expensive or cumbersome equipment, and no pre-existing state of peak physical fitness to initiate practice. All that is required are a mere few minutes allocated each day and the precise, informed guidance to execute it correctly. This discussion touches upon one of the most significant themes for successful and graceful aging, underscoring its immense importance. This particular exercise, which distinctly outperforms walking for the demographic over 60, will not only be unveiled, but also meticulously demonstrated, detailing safe execution techniques, optimal frequency, and practical integration into daily routines, even for those contending with persistent knee pain, nagging back issues, or chronically low energy reserves. A common experience among seniors, even those who faithfully engage in daily walking, is the persistent sensation of weak legs, an unsettling shakiness in balance, and a noticeable decline in stamina from what it once was. This sentiment is far from isolated, as millions of older adults regularly walk, yet continue to grapple with the pervasive challenges of age-related muscle loss, compromised posture, persistent joint discomfort, and an overwhelming sense of fatigue. The underlying reason for this widespread struggle is remarkably straightforward. Walking, by its very nature, is predominantly a forward motion activity. It tends to engage and repetitively work a restricted and limited group of muscles. Consequently, it offers very little in terms of effectively counteracting age-related muscle degeneration, a condition clinically termed sarcopenia. After reaching the milestone of 60 years of age, the human body experiences an accelerated rate of muscle loss compared to its ability to regenerate if it is not actively and consistently challenged through specific forms of exercise. Furthermore, muscle transcends mere aesthetics or visible strength. Muscle is, in essence, fundamental to life itself. It acts as a vital protective sheath for all major joints, plays a critical role in maintaining stable blood sugar levels, provides essential structural support for bone health, and critically, enables the fundamental capacities to move freely, react swiftly, and sustain an independent lifestyle. A profound insight, often overlooked by the general populace, is that the most significant determinant of an individual's ability to live autonomously and independently throughout their 70s, 80s, and beyond is not predicated upon body weight, cholesterol levels, or even the precise number of steps accumulated daily. Rather, it hinges squarely on the intrinsic strength of one's legs, the unwavering stability of one's balance, and the celerity with which one can transition from a seated to a standing position. This brings us directly to the singularly effective exercise that stands superior to walking for individuals over 60, the straightforward, immensely powerful, and profoundly life-altering movement universally recognized as the chair squat. Indeed, the assertion is accurate. The action of standing up from and subsequently sitting down into a chair, when executed with the correct form and intention, constitutes one of the most potent exercises available for seniors worldwide. Although its appearance may suggest simplicity, this movement actively recruits and engages the largest and most critical muscle groups throughout the body. These include the quadriceps and hamstrings of the thighs, the powerful muscles of the hips, the gluteal muscles, the entire core musculature, and the supportive muscles of the lower back. These are precisely the same muscle groups that are indispensable for performing everyday functions, such as walking with ease, ascending and descending stairs, effortlessly getting out of bed each morning, comfortably carrying groceries, and, perhaps most critically, preventing potentially catastrophic falls. In stark contrast to walking, an activity that often becomes less challenging over time as the body adapts, chair squats uniquely and continually challenge the body in a meticulously safe and controlled manner. This sustained challenge is precisely what builds genuine, functional strength, rather than merely maintaining existing levels of movement or activity. Consider this vivid illustration. With each instance of rising from a chair, an individual effectively lifts a substantial portion, if not nearly the entirety, of their own body weight against the relentless force of gravity. This represents authentic, practical strength training in its purest form. Walking, conversely, only ever supports a fraction of one's body weight at any given moment, owing to the continuous presence of at least one foot on the ground. This fundamental difference elucidates why an individual can meticulously walk every single day and yet still experience considerable difficulty and struggle when attempting to rise from a particularly low chair. This struggle is not a reflection of idleness or a lack of effort. Rather, it underscores the inherent limitation that walking alone does not adequately train the specific muscle groups in the dynamic and comprehensive manner truly demanded by the multifaceted challenges of daily life. Before any apprehension arises, prompting thoughts such as, "I am too old for this," or "My knees simply cannot endure such an exercise," let comprehensive reassurance be provided. The chair squat, when performed with diligent adherence to correct technique, is unequivocally classified as one of the safest and most beneficial exercises an individual can undertake. In fact, professional physical therapists across the globe routinely integrate it as a foundational movement within rehabilitation protocols, specialized fall prevention programs, and strategies aimed at fostering long-term mobility and functional independence. The inherent control afforded by the chair squat is paramount. The individual dictates the depth of the squat, precisely manages the speed of the movement, and always retains the inherent security and support of the chair positioned directly behind them. This adaptability means the exercise seamlessly meets each individual exactly where their body currently stands in terms of strength and mobility. The safe and effective execution of the chair squat follows a clear methodology. Commence by positioning oneself on the leading edge of a robust and stable chair. Ensure the feet are planted firmly on the floor, spaced approximately shoulder-width apart for optimal stability. Throughout the movement, the chest should remain proudly tall, the shoulders relaxed and dropped away from the ears, and the gaze directed straight ahead. Initiate the movement by gently leaning the torso forward, just slightly, pivoting from the hips rather than rounding the back. Subsequently, exert a deliberate downward pressure through the heels of the feet, and in a controlled, unhurried motion, slowly ascend to a standing position. It is crucial to resist the temptation to rush this phase of the movement. Upon reaching the apex of the standing position, extend fully, maintaining a tall posture without inadvertently locking the knees into hyperextension. Then, with equal deliberation and control, slowly articulate the hips and knees, allowing the body to descend progressively until the gluteal muscles gently make contact with the chair surface. This entire sequence constitutes one complete repetition. For those requiring initial assistance, the hands may be lightly placed on the chair's armrests to provide a measure of support. As strength progressively develops, a more challenging variation involves crossing the arms over the chest, thereby removing the aid of the armrests. Research studies unequivocally demonstrate a powerful correlation. Seniors who are capable of performing a greater number of sit-to-stand repetitions within a 30-second time frame tend to experience extended lifespans, exhibit a significantly reduced incidence of falls, and successfully preserve a higher degree of independence compared to their counterparts who cannot. This singular movement, in its simplicity, offers a more accurate reflection of an individual's biological age than a multitude of complex medical diagnostic tests. Such is the profound significance of this fundamental exercise. However, the advantages gleaned from this movement extend far beyond mere leg strength. When the chair squat is consistently performed as a regular component of one's routine, the cardiovascular system is stimulated, compelling the heart to work with greater efficiency. This enhanced effort results in tangible improvements in overall circulation, a more robust delivery of oxygen throughout the body's tissues, and a more efficient metabolic rate. The cumulative effect translates into superior endurance, augmented energy levels, and a comprehensive improvement in cardiovascular health, benefits that walking alone cannot fully replicate. The individual is not merely strengthening specific muscle groups, they are fortifying their entire physiological system. Even more compelling is the observation that when muscles are subjected to appropriate challenge and resistance, the body actively secretes potent biochemical compounds known as myokines. These myokines function as intricate messengers circulating within the bloodstream, where they play pivotal roles in mitigating systemic inflammation, enhancing the body's sensitivity to insulin, providing crucial support for optimal brain health, and even offering a protective effect against the onset and progression of certain chronic diseases. While walking undeniably contributes to some of these beneficial responses, resistance-based movements, such as the chair squat, elicit a considerably more robust and profound myokine response. The critical topic of balance merits explicit discussion. Falls represent one of the most significant and potentially devastating threats to an individual's independence once they surpass the age of 60. A single, seemingly innocuous fall has the capacity to irrevocably alter the trajectory of a person's life. Chair squats serve as an exceptional training modality for improving static and dynamic balance, refining overall coordination, and bolstering the body's innate ability to stabilize itself under conditions that closely mimic real-world demands. With each deliberate and controlled transition from standing to sitting and back again, the nervous system progressively acquires and refines the essential motor patterns required to maintain steadfast equilibrium. This specific training is precisely what is needed to proactively avert perilous falls. Regarding the optimal frequency and starting repetitions for this exercise, the approach is both simple and adaptable. Individuals should commence with a number of repetitions that can be safely and comfortably managed without undue strain or pain. For some, this initial benchmark might be as modest as 5 repetitions. For others, it could comfortably extend to 10 or even 15. The overarching objective is to perceive the muscles actively working, generating a sensation of effort, but critically, without experiencing any pain in the joints. The exercise should ideally be performed once daily, or at a minimum, 3 to 4 times per week to cultivate consistency. Over time, as muscular strength demonstrably improves, individuals can progressively increase the number of repetitions performed, or, alternatively, deliberately slow down the tempo of the movement, particularly during the lowering phase, to intensify the challenge. There is profound encouragement in observing how individuals in their 70s and even 80s, who initially struggled immensely to stand from a chair without substantial manual assistance, have, within a mere few weeks of diligently practicing this singular movement, achieved smooth, fluid transitions, walked with markedly increased confidence, and experienced a rejuvenation of their physical bodies, feeling years younger than they had previously. This endeavor transcends the ambition of becoming an elite athlete. Its fundamental purpose is the preservation of personal freedom and autonomy. It is important to acknowledge that walking undeniably retains its valuable place within a holistic health regimen. It remains an excellent activity for promoting mental well-being, enhancing general circulation, and providing gentle cardiovascular conditioning. However, if walking constitutes the sole form of exercise an individual engages in, they are inadvertently overlooking the most critical and foundational component of the aging process: strength. Without the fundamental attribute of strength, even basic movements become arduous and taxing. Without robust strength, the intricate mechanisms governing balance inevitably weaken. And without the bedrock of physical strength, the cherished aspiration of independence gradually diminishes. This precisely encapsulates why this singular, uncomplicated exercise is demonstrably superior to walking alone for individuals over 60. In the interest of absolute clarity and responsible guidance, it is imperative to state that individuals experiencing severe joint pain, having undergone recent surgical procedures, or managing any serious medical conditions should, without exception, consult with their primary care physician or a qualified physical therapist prior to embarking upon any new exercise routine. Personal safety must always take precedence. Under no circumstances should one attempt to push through sharp or acute pain. While a mild sensation of muscle fatigue is a normal and expected physiological response to exertion, the presence of actual pain is an unequivocal signal to cease the activity. This exercise can be further enhanced and made even more impactful through the incorporation of subtle variations achievable within the home environment, and it can be strategically combined with walking to yield maximal beneficial outcomes. Indeed, dedicating just 5 minutes a day to this practice can profoundly transform one's physical sensations within a mere 30-day period. A deeper exploration reveals the precise mechanisms by which this seemingly simple chair movement exerts such potent influence, and how it can, quite literally, reshape one's daily physical experience. As individuals progress beyond the age of 60, the body undergoes a series of highly specific and entirely natural physiological transformations. Hormone levels exhibit a gradual decline, nerve signal transmission becomes subtly attenuated, and crucial muscle fibers begin a process of atrophy if they are not adequately stimulated and challenged. These changes are not indicative of a bodily malfunction. They are simply the inherent tenets of biological aging. Yet, here lies a profoundly beautiful truth often untold. The human body, regardless of age, be it 60, 70, or even 80, retains its remarkable capacity to respond to strength training with virtually the same profound efficacy as it did in younger years. The response may manifest with a slightly slower pace, but the capacity for adaptation and rebuilding remains robust. The chair squat directly addresses and powerfully stimulates this innate biological system of muscular regeneration. Each controlled, slow descent into the chair, followed by the deliberate, forceful ascent, transmits a compelling signal throughout both the muscular and neurological systems. This signal emphatically communicates, we still require strength, we still need power, we still demand coordination. And in response to this consistent, powerful message, the body dutifully initiates a cascade of adaptive processes. It actively rebuilds and reinforces muscle fibers, strengthens the critical neuromuscular connections, and optimizes the synchronized movement of adjacent joints. Walking, by its inherent nature and intensity, simply does not generate this same potent, strength-building signal with sufficient intensity to counteract age-related decline. Envision for a moment the palpable difference. waking each morning and effortlessly rising from bed without the familiar stiffness or an unsettling sense of instability. Picture the freedom of standing from any chair without the habitual reliance on pushing off with the hands. Imagine ascending a flight of stairs with a natural stride, devoid of breath holding or trepidation. These are not mere fanciful daydreams. These are the direct, tangible outcomes of cultivating even a modest increase in strength within the legs, hips, and core musculature. And this single, multifaceted movement comprehensively trains all these essential components simultaneously, in the most practical and functionally relevant manner conceivable. A crucial yet often unspoken aspect impacting many over 60 is the pervasive fear of falling. This apprehension often leads individuals to subtly but significantly restrict their physical movements. The fear of slipping, of losing balance, or of being unable to regain an upright position after a fall can be profoundly limiting. When fear takes root within the body, natural movement decreases. This reduction in movement, in turn, inevitably leads to an increase in physical weakness. And critically, as weakness progresses, the actual risk of experiencing a fall paradoxically escalates, creating a perilous and self-perpetuating cycle. Chair squats offer a powerful means to interrupt and ultimately break this cycle within the safest possible environment. By repeatedly practicing the precise skill required to recover from a low position in a meticulously controlled and inherently protected manner, individuals progressively desensitize themselves to this fear. With each meticulously performed repetition, not only does physical strength steadily accrue, but personal confidence simultaneously flourishes. Furthermore, it is important to understand why this exercise is exceptionally gentle on the joints when executed with correct form. During the controlled, slow lowering phase of the chair squat, the powerful muscles of the legs and glutes absorb the predominant portion of the body's weight and the gravitational load. This muscular engagement actively offloads the direct impact and stress that would otherwise be borne primarily by the knee and hip joints. This mechanism stands in stark contrast to high-impact activities involving jumping, sudden twisting motions, or forceful impacts with the ground. Effectively, the chair squat facilitates the development of significant strength without subjecting the joints to undue shock or jarring forces. Precisely the kind of low-impact, high-benefit training that aging joints require for sustained health and function. Valid concerns often arise, such as, "My knees hurt," or "My lower back bothers me," or "I have been inactive for many years." These concerns are entirely legitimate and understandable, as every individual body possesses a unique history. However, that past history does not possess the immutable power to dictate one's future capacity. If knee sensitivity is a factor, the solution is simple. Do not lower the body as deeply into the squat. Instead, move only through the range of motion that feels entirely comfortable and pain-free. If lower back sensitivity is present, prioritize maintaining a tall chest and executing the movement with deliberate slowness. For those who have experienced prolonged periods of inactivity, the starting point can be as modest as 3 or 4 repetitions. The transformative power of this exercise resides not in the sheer volume or intensity of performance, but rather in the unwavering commitment to consistency. Consistency is the true catalyst that reshapes the body, transcending the temporary allure, intense, sporadic workouts, or the elusive pursuit of perfection. A mere 5 minutes dedicated to this exercise almost every day will consistently yield superior outcomes compared to a single, intensely strenuous workout performed only occasionally. The body's muscular system responds most favorably and effectively to frequent, gentle reminders that its strength and function are still vitally needed and regularly called upon. The often overlooked aspect of breathing holds another key to amplifying the power of this exercise. As the body initiates the ascent from the chair to a standing position, A gentle exhalation through the mouth is beneficial. Conversely, as the body is lowered back down into the chair, a calm inhalation through the nose should occur. This specific breathing pattern serves multiple critical functions. It aids in the stabilization of the core musculature, provides essential support for the spinal column, and helps to maintain more balanced blood pressure levels throughout the dynamic movement. Now, envision seamlessly integrating this vital habit into activities already embedded within your daily routine. For example, chair squats can be performed immediately prior to breakfast while patiently awaiting water to boil for tea or coffee, or even during commercial breaks while watching television. When exercise transitions from being a separate, consciously remembered task to an integral, natural component of one's normal routine, it invariably becomes effortless. And when an activity becomes effortless, its permanence in one's life is significantly more assured. Beyond the physical, a profound emotional benefit is intrinsically linked to this movement. It is an honest observation that as individuals age, many experience a subtle yet pervasive sense of their world gradually diminishing. Certain activities that once brought joy become too alternatives. Certain destinations feel too distant, and imperceptibly, life's expansive landscape begins to contract. Strength, in its fundamental essence, powerfully reverses this emotional contraction. When the body rediscovers its capabilities and feels strong once more, the mind concurrently reopens to possibility. There is a renewed willingness to venture out, to engage with others, to explore new places, and to actively try new experiences. The symbiotic relationship between physical strength and emotional resilience is undeniable, tangible, and profoundly impactful. For those ready to progress after several weeks of consistent practice, once the body feels more comfortable and capable, a simple yet highly effective method exists that requires no external weights or specialized machines. This progression involves deliberately slowing down the lowering or eccentric phase of the movement. Instead of simply sitting down at a normal pace, the body is lowered over a count of 3 slow, controlled seconds. 1, 2, 3. Following this controlled descent, the individual then stands back up with appropriate speed. This extended, slow lowering phase generates a remarkably powerful stimulus for both muscle growth and enhanced joint control, all while meticulously maintaining the inherent safety of the exercise. Another gentle yet potent progression involves introducing a brief 1-second pause just above the chair before fully sitting down. This momentary suspension forces the muscles to engage even more intensely, working harder to meticulously control the body's descent and maintain stability. Such seemingly minor modifications accumulate over time, leading to substantial and meaningful improvements in strength and functional capacity. Returning to the role of walking, it is important to frame its contribution appropriately. Walking remains an invaluable activity for cardiovascular health, promoting optimal circulation, elevating mood, and fostering mental clarity. However, walking should fundamentally serve to support and complement strength training rather than acting as a substitute for it. Conceptually, walking can be considered as vital nourishment for the heart, while chair squats provide essential nourishment for the muscles and bones. Together, these two forms of activity forge a comprehensive and exquisitely balanced approach to healthy and vibrant aging. Many individuals already integrate daily walking into their lives, which is commendable. The simple act of adding this one fundamental movement either before or after a walk will initiate noticeable changes within a mere few weeks. Increased stability, greater power and spring in one's steps, a reduction in fatigue when standing for prolonged periods, and an overarching enhancement of confidence in one's own body. It is paramount to gently underscore a truth of immense significance. No individual is inherently broken or fundamentally fragile. Age itself is not a definitive limitation. The human body is an inherently adaptive and intelligent organism. It possesses an innate desire to heal, to regenerate, and to grow stronger. However, it can only effectively respond to the specific signals it receives. This simple daily movement unequivocally communicates to the body that strength is not only desired but actively required. For anyone who feels disheartened or discouraged concerning their health journey, perhaps having attempted exercise previously only to encounter setbacks, pain, or life's inevitable interruptions that led to a loss of motivation, none of that past experience truly matters in this present moment. What matters most is the conscious choice made next. And that next step need not be monumental. It can be as unassuming as carefully and intentionally standing up from a chair 5 times today. Genuine progress seldom emanates from dramatic, sweeping actions. Rather, it is forged from quiet, consistent decisions, faithfully repeated on a daily basis. As the practice of this movement continues, individuals may perceive subtle, incremental changes long before more overt transformations become apparent. A slightly steadier gait when walking, a diminished reliance on furniture for support, or a marginal reduction in end-of-day fatigue are all meaningful indicators that the body is positively responding. These seemingly small victories warrant celebration, for they constitute the indispensable building blocks of profound, long-term transformation. The journey to becoming stronger than yesterday is always possible, regardless of age.